Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. I didn't get to do a video last week, so I wanted to do a video this week just so that I could help to wrap up what we did with Unit 1 and talk a little bit about poetry and what we did last week and what we're going to see this week and moving forward. So I think Unit 1 went really well. It's always tough at the beginning of an online course to get things going since people are just sort of finding their way, but I think we've really sort of cohesed as a group well together, and I think people have really gotten into the pattern of the discussion boards, posting by Thursday, responding by Sunday. And we've had a lot of really good productive discussion on there, and I think those discussion threads really speak to it. If you go back and look at them, you see a lot of really interesting directions that the conversations go in. So those are fun to read. But in terms of Unit 1, yeah, I think it went great. I think we had a lot of good discussion, and there was a lot of good journal assignments that came out of Essay 1, and I think people really kind of understood the concept of fiction analysis as I could see in the essays, which I'm still looking at now. I've done about half of them. I hope to have them all done by today, but I didn't quite get there. So I'm going to try to get the rest of the essays done early this week. So be looking for those. You'll be able to see my feedback. I'm giving everybody feedback in a comment box. Plus, I'm also making track comments on everybody's essay and uploading the final. So you can take a look at my track comments on your essay and look at the overall comments. If you want to revise that essay, you still can. And I encourage people to revise their work because I think it helps you to understand the literary form of literary analysis more and to help deepen your analysis and your views of the essays that you chose. But overall, fiction went really well. Also, last week, I didn't get to do the introduction video to poetry that I really wanted to do because I had some technical problems and I had to find another way to get these recordings up. But regardless, I think we had a pretty good start to the poetry week. We looked at speaker and tone and imagery during that week. And in the discussion boards, we had some really good discussions about the speakers, especially in We Real Cool and Richard Corey. A lot of really good discussion on there, and then a lot of people had some nice comments on Acquainted with the Night and the piece on Cardi, Suburban. And I think we definitely got to the point of who are the speakers, what are they like in all those poems, as well as what's the tone and what's the mood and how are those distinct. But we also took it a little bit further in those discussion forums, and we talked about sound and We Real Cool a little bit. We talked about reading Richard Corey in multiple different ways. We're talking a little bit about theme with that poem. Got to several good places with that first week, and I haven't read the journals yet, but I'm going to look forward to reading the journals on imagery. I was kind of looking back and thinking over the week that I wish I had done more discussion on imagery, but I look forward to reading the journal. But imagery is really one of the more important aspects of poetry. Imagery is what you can see in the poem. So anytime they're describing something you can see, or as the video points out, taste or smell or touch, anything that's appealing to the senses is imagery. And imagery is a really important concept to grasp in poetry because imagery is often the basis for symbols. Oftentimes, images are symbols for other things, and they're also metaphors for things. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. So I think this week we're going to have a really nice lineup. We're going to be talking about symbolism and metaphor and distinguishing between those two. All right? A symbol is when something's meant to represent something else, like we talked about with the fiction unit. Right, like in Battle Royale, we say the entire Battle Royale is an allegory, which is a story-wide symbol to represent the fight against slavery, or sorry, the fight against or the fight for civil rights that black people faced in the 50s. So symbol is when something's meant to represent something else. Metaphor is when you compare something to something else, and that's what we're going to look at very closely this week. And there's two types of metaphor. One metaphor is making a direct comparison, saying that the table is a ship is a metaphor, right? Table's not literally a ship, but saying it is a ship is a metaphor. A simile is another type of metaphor where you use the words like or as. You'd say the table is like a ship, or the table is as a ship. So you want to kind of, the video that we have for this week by Jane Hirschfield does a really good job pointing out the differences between simile and metaphor and talking about why metaphor is so important. It's a really good video. So I think we have that this week. And we'll talk more about metaphor in the discussion forums, I'm sure, and for your journal. Also this week we're going to talk about irony. Right? We've already been talking a little bit about irony. I think Richard Corey is a good example of irony. It's when something undercuts something else, or it's something unexpected happens, right? Not what you were expecting, but the opposite really, or something completely different. And we have a couple videos that talk about the different types of irony: verbal irony, dramatic irony, and situational irony. So hopefully you'll get a good sense of what irony is, what metaphor is, and the distinction between metaphor and symbolism. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the discussion post this week and in the journal this week. So we also have a lot of really great poems this week. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the discussion forums. Feel free to email me if you have any questions. Otherwise, just keep on doing a good job. You guys have been doing a great job so far. Make sure you get your discussion posts in by Thursday. Respond to Sunday. Get those journals in by Sunday. And I look forward to talking to you. See you there.